For those just joining now for the gameplay section, we did do a reaction to the character demo just before this. I'm probably going to edit it and separate it into different videos for YouTube. But for those watching live, we're just going to jump straight into things here. No intro, just going to go straight into Emilie character story. Floral Debt Blood Dew. I don't like the name of that. Oh, we're going all the way to Port Ormos. Cue the Port Ormos soundtrack. I will give Emilie some credit. I'm glad that they didn't introduce her in an event. But at the same time, it might have been a good idea for, out of all the characters to release in an event ahead of their release in-game, you should probably do that with the characters that are going to come out in patches like this. And just make the events permanent, in my opinion. Because characters like this, like Emilie, are going to suffer just from the fact that not a lot of people are going to want to pull. Oh god, I'm stuck in the elevator. Yeah, if Emilie had been at least part of the Fontaine Archon quest, or at least like one of the previous patches, like have her show up in like as a selling perfume during Shiori's quest. That would have been the time to do it. That would have been the patch to introduce a character like Emilie. Talk to Tighnari. Oh, that's why we're going to Sumeru.
I thought I told him to spray it with water to retain moisture before applying the film. You can't treat a glaze lily like a cactus. If Sanjay does this again, the loss will have to come out of his food expenses.
What?
I'll go talk to him. At this rate, he won't even be able to afford eating cacti for much longer.
Why are they eating cacti? Whose food budget is that low?
Oh, it's you two. It's been a while. What brings you to Port Ormos?
Has there always been this many flowers back here?
We didn't have anything to do, and this place looked pretty lively, so we decided to stop by.
We're always in Port Ormos, just chilling out to the soundtrack.
Around here.
Well, Port Ormos is currently organizing a flower exhibition featuring flowers and plants from all over Teyvat, so I came to help out.
For those who don't know, there's actually a flower store in Port Ormos that sells a lot of local specialties.
The exhibition includes flowers from every corner of the world.
I think you can buy
each with their
dandelions
own
here for
unique
pretty cheap.
properties and
That's
needs.
where I've been getting
With that
them
in
for
mind,
my
the
gene.
curator commissioned a flower pot from Kasharawar, capable of retaining heat and
There's
moisture.
some windwheel asters over there.
Even so, an expert is still required to develop tailored transportation and care plans for each type of flower.
Oh, and that expert is you, right?
Not this time, no. I'm just here to help out. The expert in charge is someone else.
Mr. Tighnari! Sanjay! He confused the poisonous bulbs with garlic shoots.
Oh my god, whoever this Sanjay guy is, he'll eat anything, isn't he?
Never mind. Forget about what I said about the food expenses. Apologies, traveler, Paimon. Looks like I've got something to take care of. I'll be back in just a moment.
Okay, screw Emilie for a minute. Who the hell is this Sanjay guy, and why is he eating everything?
Tighnari's busy no matter where he is, huh?
Too many people are careless about what they eat.
Yeah, seems like it. Hey, don't look at Paimon like that! Paimon is super careful about what she eats.
Yeah, Paimon's pretty picky. She didn't want to eat the what are they called? The Anaka nut cakes. Those sound pretty good to me, and I don't even like nuts.
Well, looks like Tighnari might be busy for a while. Let's take a look around the port in the meantime.
It's a flower exhibition. It's gonna be fun. Floral Debt Blood Dew. Walk around nearby. All right.
Wow, look at these flowers! They smell so...
Don't remind me, Paimon. My allergy season is fast approaching as summer leads to its end.
Huh?
You feeling okay?
Paimon's... fine. She's just got a little...
Fun fact, I'm allergic to perfume, for those who didn't know.
Rainbow roses.
It gives me
glaze
hives.
lilies, and Cecilia's? No wonder.
Rainbow roses, glazed lilies, and Cecilia's.
It's getting worse.
Too much pollen?
Why?
Should we go find Denari?
But, I was fine just a moment ago. She didn't even eat anything.
I wonder if they had got do her work like this with a dollar represent. No, don't do that.
A moment of your time, you two? If it's not too much trouble, perhaps you could try this incense.
Or, walk away from the flowers.
Incense? Oh, the scent is so nice. Wait!
You can talk normally now.
Whoa, that was fast. Paimon doesn't have to sneeze anymore.
Must have been the incense, thank you.
Think nothing of it. From your attire, I imagine you two aren't from Sumeru either.
It doesn't really keep me away. I only get the reaction if you rub it into my skin. Which means when I do laundry, I have to use a very specific type of detergent with no perfume in it. Otherwise, sleeping on bed will make me wake up with a full body rash. Fun stuff!
Seeing as we're both travelers from abroad, it's only right that we help each other out should the occasion arise.
Oh, so you're here for the flower exhibition too?
Okay, who put this here framing? We've already seen her face. Why are you doing this camera chicanery right now?
I suppose that's accurate. Oh, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Emilie, a perfumer from Fontaine.
Now I'm just remembering the perfumers from Elden Ring.
Paimon is Paimon. Thank you so much for your help just now. Oh, and this is...
The Traveler, right? I've heard a lot about you from the Steambird. It's nice to finally put a face to the name.
Did they not have a picture of our face in the Steambird? I've heard a lot about you as well. Not in game I haven't, but... Although I didn't expect to run into you in Sumeru.
What happened back there? Why did Paimon start sneezing all of a sudden?
Too much pollen in one location, is my guess.
Have you ever heard of hay fever?
Oh, that makes sense. I think so, but I don't know much about it.
To put it simply, when inhaled, certain pollens can trigger abnormal physical reactions.
But Paimon has seen these kinds of flowers before and nothing weird happened then.
Well, we're all different. The factors that can trigger a reaction to certain stimuli vary by person. In isolation, the effects of certain pollens may seem minimal, but inhaling various types at once can trigger a more overt reaction.
Uh-huh.
But there's no need to worry. Pollen allergies can be effectively mitigated with the use of medication.
Oh, well, that's good.
Traveler, Paimon, there you are. Is everything all right?
Is this the expert in charge, Tanari?
I left in such a hurry, I forgot to warn you about all the pollen in the air.
Yeah, Paimon was not having a good time. But Emilie helped us out.
Emilie? Ah, what a coincidence.
Oh wow,
Looks
she's
like
actually
my
kind of
worry was
tall.
misplaced then. The Traveler and Paimon are in good hands.
I didn't think about that. I always got to keep track of character height because it's just one of those weird things.
It was nothing, really. We happened to run into each other shortly after my arrival, and I offered them a bit of help, that's all. I'm more curious as to why you thought the Traveler and Paimon were in danger. Allergies are highly unpredictable. If you were concerned the pollen might trigger a reaction, that must mean something similar has happened in the past.
Something like that, yeah. We are overly attuned
Remember
to
the first
Dendro.
time we met? You fainted after inhaling Spirit Borneal.
Wow, we got a CG of this scene? I mean... hang on. I'm gonna take a screen cap of this for documentary purposes. And I'll just keep that in my control office. Probably not gonna use this for a thumbnail, but I might go back and put it as a thumbnail for an older episode. I like that they added this feature. I love being able to hide the text boxes and look at these CGs. Man, people who play Genshin starting now are going to have a much better time of the game than they would have had in the past. That was an allergic reaction, but Paimon was the victim this time.
The spirit Borneo didn't affect Paimon at all, and now she's the one suffering. It makes no sense.
It's not really something you can make sense out of, Paimon. There are all kinds of allergies out there, caused by a variety of different factors. Some people are even allergic to almonds. It's not something you can generalize.
My dad pretends to have a tomato allergy so that he doesn't eat tomatoes.
Exactly. I even encountered a case in Fontaine where someone had an allergic reaction to soba noodles their family brought back from Inazuma.
What? That is such an oddly specific allergy.
Whoa. Good thing Paimon isn't allergic to anything delicious.
Are you a doctor, Emilie? She just said she was a
In
perfumer
manner
from
of
Fontaine.
speaking, although you could say the patients I deal with are rather unusual.
In addition to medicine, Emilie is also very knowledgeable about botany. She's taught me a lot about the native flora around Fontaine.
And that's where my expertise ends, I'm afraid. When it comes to breadth of knowledge, Tighnari certainly comes out on top.
I'm kind of glad that they included Tighnari in this quest. That way we have two botanists dealing with each other. Out of all the characters I would have loved to see interact, these two are on the list.
A flower expert? Oh, Paimon's got it! You must be the expert Tighnari mentioned, the one in charge of the exhibition!
Wrong again, I'm afraid.
Oh, she's not? Who's in charge of this? Please don't tell me it's Sanjay.
Well, I did come for the exhibition, but only to inquire about the Auguste variety. I'm not involved in any official capacity.
Oh, Paimon was sure she got it right this time.
The Auguste variety? What's that?
It's a kind of flower that was once popular in Fontaine. The perfume made from it also bears the same name, Auguste.
Auguste.
Auguste, huh?
Augustus Floop.
That's not a name you hear often nowadays.
In an ancient language, the word is said to mean sacred or noble.
Is that
it's
true?
Sometimes used as a name for people as well. Ah, that reminds me. Are you familiar with a historical event in Fontaine known as Perfume Mania?
No. I don't think it's even ever come up.
Perfume Mania was an event that occurred in Fontaine nearly 20 years ago.
Oh. I'm guessing it's an event that they canceled because of the serial disappearances of women case. Because that also happened 20 years ago.
It all started when several merchants released their own lines of high-end, expensive perfumes, marketing them as must-have luxury products, the very symbol of elegance itself. No one anticipated the absolute frenzy this would create on the market, causing the price of perfumes to skyrocket. The demand was twofold. What some saw as a status symbol, most saw as a money-making opportunity. You could take advantage of the soaring price by hoarding them and reselling at even higher margins.
Market go burr.
The value of these products became so inflated, regular bottles of perfume were even going for hundreds of thousands of mora. This resulted in countless disputes and scams.
I can imagine.
But at the end of the day, perfume is just perfume. The market value greatly exceeded the intrinsic worth of the product, creating an economic bubble that was never going to last. Luckily, the Palais Mermonia recognized the danger and intervened before the craze could truly spread.
What did they do?
Many profiteers and scammers were thrown in jail as a result.
Oh, I'm guessing they just started regulating the market.
In the end, only a few wealthy families were affected when the bubble popped.
That's good. Could have really been a lot worse.
What does all this have to do with that Auguste you mentioned earlier?
Well, during the craze, the most popular perfume was none other than Auguste. The demand far exceeded the supply, to the point where it once sold for 10 million mora a bottle.
Excuse me?
10 million? Then what about now?
Calm down, Paimon.
After the mania ended, most perfumes returned to a normal price. Auguste was the only exception. Its namesake, the flower used to create it, went extinct. As a result, no new bottles of Auguste have been made, and the value of the perfume remains exceedingly high.
The flower went extinct. Is that the flower that I didn't recognize that she was looking at in her character demo? Because it looked like just a fruit on the end of a stem.
Indeed. The Auguste flower was not a natural variety, you see. It was specially cultivated for use in perfume making.
And how did it manage to go extinct?
When the bubble popped, All the flower beds used for its cultivation were destroyed in a fire.
Oh.
The variety has never been seen since.
But didn't you say you came to the exhibition to look for it?
Ah, yes. I came to investigate a certain rumor that the Auguste flower has reappeared in Sumeru. It's causing quite the stir in the Fontaine perfume market.
Maybe someone's just spreading rumors to try to create a market crash. Who knows?
Traveler, we should help Emilie look for it.
It's just a rumor, Paimon. There's no way it's easy to find.
I have to agree. Emilie wrote me to ask if I could look into the rumor, but the forest rangers haven't received any reports of new plant species recently.
Even if I can locate the flower, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed, Paimon. I don't have any grand Mora-making endeavors planned. Divine, noble, one of a kind. All beautiful sentiments, to be sure, but to me, they overshadow the very essence of the product.
You just want to make it to make it?
When it comes to perfume, I want people to forget the price and the prestige, and focus on the beauty of the fragrance itself.
I can respect that.
Wow, so noble.
Of course, there's also a more practical reason. In recent years, low-grade counterfeit versions of Auguste have been popping up on the Fontaine perfume market.
Really?
Every so often, someone will claim to have recreated the unique scent of Auguste.
Where the market fails,
and
the
rumor
black
mill
market
start
will always
comparing
provide.
the counterfeits to my own work.
Okay, that's more like the reason Paimon had in mind.
Ever since that rumor started, 3 new perfumes claiming to be made from the Auguste flower have appeared on the market. If I can dispel the fanaticism surrounding Auguste, even just by proving the rumor to be false, Fontaine's perfume market can finally start to get back to normal.
Man, I didn't expect the plot of this story to be stonks.
Then I'll be free from all the stories and added meaning and just focus on making what I like.
That makes sense.
Either way, even if it's not for the Mora, we could still help you out.
Oh, I would of course be grateful for your help, but I wouldn't want to trouble you.
I mean, we said, like, what was it, 10 minutes ago that we weren't really doing anything?
Well, you said it yourself. We're both travelers from abroad, so it's only right that we help each other out.
I wonder how long this character story is going to be. I've been burned before, and some of them have been like 2 to 3 hours long.
I suppose you're right. Then you have my thanks.
Based on the information I have so far, it's unclear if the rumor is true. Mr. Edgar also thinks it's too early to say, but you could always go talk to him. He was there all those years ago, after all. Maybe he'll know something.
Huh, I was just about to pay him a visit at the hotel.
Where's the hotel in Port Ormos?
Edgar? Who's that?
The person you've been trying to guess this whole time. The flower expert in charge of the exhibition. He's also the most respected and experienced perfumer in the area.
No, are we gonna fall into the trap of this is gonna be an entire quest line about Edgar?
Back when he was still working in Fontaine, Auguste was his creation.
Really?
I should also mention, he was my teacher, the one who taught me the basics of perfumery when I apprenticed in Sumeru.
Really?
This guy was a famous perfumer in Fontaine, but then he came to Sumeru to teach people from Fontaine? It sounds confusing.
It's a long story. If you're interested, we can talk more about it when we see him. He should be staying near the hotel.
I think we could talk more about it on the way there.
I need to stay back and keep an eye on things here at the port. If something happens, don't hesitate to find me.
Is Sanjay okay? Are you Sanjay? Are you the guy eating flowers? No? Okay. I mentioned the store earlier. This is the store. Genuine imports. Every 3 days. Oh wow, flowers over here.
Look at all the flowers!
Apparently, the exhibitor paid a large sum to rent out the hotel and surrounding buildings. They're being used as temporary storage facilities and lodging for exhibition personnel.
Seems a bit excessive.
Yeah, what if guests come early? They won't have anywhere to stay. Also, renting out this big of a hotel, how are they gonna make that more back?
Seems like they might have more to burn.
It's been so long, I almost didn't recognize you, Edgar.
Well, you and your brother haven't changed a bit.
Oh, yeah, look, all this catching up is nice and all, but let's get down to business. We need to talk about Kirya. Is he...
Hold on, we have guests.
It's nice to see you again, Master.
Emilie? Is that you?
I kind of wish we had more
It's
custom
been
NPCs
years.
for
Look
characters
at
like
you.
this.
You're all grown up. I've heard you've become quite the famous perfumer in Fontaine. It would seem the student has surpassed the master.
Has she? If you created Auguste, I'd think she remains to be seen.
Oh, well, it's all thanks to your mentorship.
Ah, hardly. I taught you the basics. Hearing you call me master, well, I'm not sure I'm deserving of that title. I've taught many students here in Sumeru over the years, but I've yet to see one turn out quite as accomplished as you. You're the only one who can take credit for that success. And who are these two? I don't recall you mentioning them in your letter.
Ah, they're my new friends, the Traveler and Paimon.
Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Edgar.
Emilie's friends. Well then, the pleasure is all mine.
And these two gentlemen? Are they friends of yours, Master?
Of course. We're perfume merchants from Fontaine. I'm Oud, and this here is my younger brother, Blaze.
How
Edgar and the
blasé.
two of us are old friends. Isn't that right, gentlemen?
Suspicious alert.
yes.
Merchant brothers?
You must be here to look for the Auguste flower then.
Well, what respectable perfume merchant hasn't heard of Auguste? Anyone in the business would be interested in the rumors.
I'm guessing you're here for the same reason, Emilie. We were just about to get into it, so you three might as well join in. I commissioned a few eremites to do some scouting for me. They searched all over Sumeru, but there were no sightings of the Auguste flower.
So someone is probably just spreading rumors.
That being said, there are people in Port Ormos who claim to have smelled a unique fragrance on the streets. Definitely floral, but still distinct. Some of them were merchants who lived in Fontaine 20 years ago. According to them, the fragrance smelled exactly like the Auguste they remember from back then.
Isn't it just possible that somebody who held onto a bottle for 20 years and didn't use it or stumbled across a bottle that was just in an old storage bin or something and used it?
A one-of-a-kind, divine, and noble scent.
What does nobility
Maybe
smell
someone
like?
around here just happens to have a bottle of Auguste from back then.
Thank you, Paimon.
No, I don't think so. I doubt that's the case. Even if someone had a bottle that was never opened, the fragrance of the perfume would have changed over time. Very few perfumes can go decades without a change in scent.
Yeah, but how much of a change in a sealed container can occur in like 20 years if it was kept in the dark?
Auguste is even more prone to that kind of shift. Only a few bottles still exist in Fontaine, and their scent would have completely degraded by now.
Now, degraded is what I would expect. I would have expected it to be fainter and degrade over time, not to get, like, completely change.
Although, could there be a flower out there with a similar fragrance? Or in accord with the same base notes?
Interesting.
Impossible. If Auguste were that easy to replicate, it would never have sold for such a high price all those years ago. The Auguste flower is back. It has to be.
It's also possible a new flower with the same or similar base properties could have also occurred. Because remember, the Auguste flower, based off what we've learned so far, was a flower that was basically created through crossbreeding.
Technically speaking, the scent wouldn't be impossible to imitate.
Well, let's table that question for now. Edgar, did any of those people mention where the scent was coming from?
No. By the time they realized they had smelled something, the scent was already gone. If I hadn't asked about it, they probably wouldn't have given the experience a second thought. Compared to things we see and hear, Smells can be much easier to overlook.
Like a fart in the wind.
It almost sounds like someone wearing the Auguste fragrance passed them on the street.
Wait, are you saying...
That was actually what I was gonna say.
Just thinking out loud. Don't pay me any mind.
We don't have much to go off of right now, but we can't rule out that possibility. I'll send some more people to investigate. You all traveled so far to be here. Why don't you rest in the hotel for a bit? Oud, Blaze, this is the key to your room.
Ooh, you've got the keys to the rooms? Do we get free lodging too?
My apologies. All the rooms in the hotel are accounted for, I'm afraid. Most are being used for storage ahead of the exhibition, you see.
It's kind of sad, but that's like the hotel I work at, we have like 180 rooms, so that's a lot of rooms being used for storage.
I managed to tidy up one of the rooms for these two at the last minute, but by the time Emilie wrote to me, there was no more space left for her to stay.
Oh, and we just showed up out of the blue. Guess that means there's definitely no space for us.
We can camp. We have the teapot.
I should have been more considerate. Here I am with an entire hotel at my disposal and no place to offer you to stay.
That is
Even
a sentence.
after you made the trip all the way to Sumeru.
That is a sentence I don't think anyone has ever said ever. I have a hotel.
Don't worry, Master. I
But
can
nowhere
sleep on
to
the boat
stay.
tonight. Or I could even camp in the wild. It would give me the opportunity to collect some plant specimens while I'm here in Sumeru.
I'm familiar with the Sumeru wilderness. I'll come with.
Ah, even better. Although, would it be possible for me to leave some of my luggage here? It would be rather cumbersome to take it camping. It shouldn't take up too much space.
Well, about that.
Okay, now you're just being weird. Seems like Edgar and the others don't want anyone to stay near the hotel, but they're also trying to not to arouse suspicion. Am I not just imagining things?
Of course, no trouble at all. My brother and I will keep an eye on them for you, as long as you don't mind, mademoiselle.
All right, then. Oud, why don't you take Emilie inside and find a suitable place for her luggage? I'll prepare some refreshments and join you in a bit.
There's like a drug lab going on in the hotel. They don't want anyone in this hotel for some reason. They're manufacturing the fake scent. There's something going on here.
I'm sorry I couldn't offer you a room.
It's all right, Master. I know it was sudden.
I'll be sure to make it up to you with a nice cup of tea.
Enter Edgar's room. Or was his name Uter? I forgot. Oh. This is the hotel. What is that, then?
Whoa, the smell of flowers is so strong. Didn't Edgar say he tidied up around here? There's still so many flowers. Hyman took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers. Looks like this exhibition is gonna be huge.
Do all perfumers have houses filled with flowers?
No, that's a florist thing. We work closely with the essential oils of various plants, but to maintain a sharp sense of smell, most perfumers prefer to keep their homes free of strong odors.
Oh, guess there's just too much to store for the exhibition then.
It's behind this door. Why would you even ask that, Ether?
Oh, this room seems to be a connected suite, and my brother will be staying on the other side of the suite.
Makes sense.
Blaze, while you're out, why don't you bring our luggage over as well?
Okay.
Blaze!
Yes, of course.
All right, then. Where can we find your luggage, mademoiselle? Blaze will go fetch it for you.
It's still at the port. In addition to some daily necessities, there's also a case of amber wine that I brought back from Fontaine.
Amber wine?
Could I trouble you to bring that back as well? It would be the perfect way to repay you for your hospitality.
How generous. I should thank you on my brother's behalf. You stumbled upon his weakness. He's aloof about most things, but alcohol is his one true love.
Is that so?
Amber wine. Now that's a Fontanian specialty I've never heard of before. Well, you don't drink ether, so...
Mr. Ood, Mr. Blaze.
I can't even name like 3 brands of alcohol off the top of my head, because I don't drink.
Hey, what are you doing?
Uh-oh. Edgar's being mugged. Everyone outside. Oh, no, that's kidnapping sound effects, not mugging.
That's Master's voice.
Quick, let's go see what's going on. Rush out of the hotel, you detect a unique fragrance coming from outside.
Edgar!
There's a bottle and something on the ground.
Master!
Hey, Edgar. Are you all right? Can you hear me?
Who did this?
Kirya. Auguste.
Oh, is he dead?
Kirya.
Hey, Edgar? Edgar!
No, don't shake him. He's injured. Just leave him to me. You two can...
We'll investigate the scene.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, what's the broken bottle on the ground?
Skin is flushed, pupils are dilated, but he's still breathing.
I checked. It doesn't look like anyone passed through here.
Oh, but that's impossible. It's not like that kid can just grow some wings and fly away. Oh, the
kid?
culprit, I mean. It's not like the culprit could have just disappeared into thin air.
Interesting. Oh, hang on, there's something over here, too.
Do you think whoever did this was hiding in the flowers before they attacked Edgar?
Could be. There are no footprints in the flower beds, and it doesn't look like any of the branches or leaves have been disturbed. Unless the culprit was your size, that would be pretty difficult.
True.
Oh, what is this?
That strange smell around here. Is it coming from this bottle?
Only a small amount of liquid is let inside the bottle, and the streaks of residue can be seen on both the mouth sides of the vessel. Seems somebody forcibly poured out whatever was inside the bottle. I have a feeling the liquid in the bottle is...
Really? You think so?
Auguste.
Well, we looked all over, but the only clue we found was that bottle.
The most important thing we can do now is focus our efforts on treating Master. Can you help me move him inside?
Absolutely. There's a big strong guy standing behind me, but I will help you carry the man inside.
So, how's he doing?
When I administered emergency treatment, I discovered a residue in his nose and mouth. Master was most likely forced to ingest a certain liquid.
Ah, so someone shoved that bottle down his throat.
He's still unconscious, and inducing vomiting could obstruct his airways. We'll have to look into other clues for now.
We found this bottle just now.
Ah, yes. The scent is the same, but the chemical composition is still unclear. We'll have to do further tests to determine if it's the same liquid, and how toxic it is to the human body.
Shouldn't we be pumping his stomach? Whether it's toxic or not, just on the off chance it's poison?
But first, I do believe there are two people who could shed some light on the situation. Mr. Sylvain, Mr. Lucien.
Ah, so you do know who they are.
Wait, you know...
Hey! Were you talking to us, mademoiselle?
Oh my god.
I'm afraid we'd never heard of those names before.
Before arriving in Sumeru, I asked a friend from the Special Patrol to look into the creators of Auguste. There were 4 people in total. The perfumer, Edgar, the one thrust into the limelight, and 3 others. a researcher from Sumeru responsible for cultivating the Auguste flower, and 2 merchant brothers responsible for promoting the product on the market. The 2 brothers capitalized on the mythos surrounding Auguste. Their actions lured in numerous speculators and profiteers, inflating the price of Auguste even further.
Market manipulators.
In the end, they were sent to the Fortress of Meripede for falsifying their accounts and destabilizing the market. If you do the math, they should be out of prison by now.
20 years.
And what does that have to do with us? There are countless merchant families in Fontaine. You gonna accuse them of being criminals too?
Every time your brother called you Blaze, it took you several seconds to respond. But when I called you Lucien just now, the name registered immediately.
Guilty knowledge, I think, is what the term is called.
Miss Emilie, out of respect for your position as a famous perfumer in Fontaine, I'm inclined to believe that was simply a poor attempt at humor. You have a bright future ahead of you. You wouldn't want to develop a reputation as someone who throws around false accusations, especially among merchant circles.
You claim to be regular perfume merchants, and yet, when I brought up amber wine, you took it to be alcohol.
What?
Just as I thought.
Amber wine is a perfume I created several years ago. It wasn't particularly renowned, but I'm certain any respectable perfume merchant in Fontaine would know of it. Unless, until recently, they were living somewhere completely cut off from the perfume world. Somewhere like the Fortress of Meripede, perhaps?
I don't even really know if they're cut off from the perfume world down there. They still get news.
Emilie, you little...
Don't even think about it, big guy. Oh yeah, I got a dull blade with your name on it.
Don't misunderstand, Mr. Sylvain. I don't bring this up to criticize you. No matter what happened all those years ago, the court has already passed its judgment.
Yeah, I don't really like to judge people on past crimes if they've served their time.
But Master's life is in danger. We need to learn whatever we can about the person who has done this. If Master's attack had something to do with Auguste, I would imagine the 2 of you might also be in danger. So I'd like to trouble you for some information, if I may. Tell me about Kirya.
Kirya is the person who fabricated the perfume, probably.
Fine, as you wish.
Sylvain.
Sylvain?
Lucien, if this will help us find Kirya, then it will be all worth it. Besides, we've already told most of the stuff to the Maison Orderly anyway. You were right, Miss Emilie. There were 4 of us at the beginning. Myself, Lucien, Edgar, and a researcher from Sumeru in charge of flower cultivation, Vijava.
And I'm guessing Kirya is their child, son, daughter? I don't know.
Sometime down the road, the Marechaussee Phantom came knocking, saddled us with a list of accusations, and started looking into our books. Oh, they did their meddling, and my brother Edgar and I were forced to serve time in the fortress as a result.
Sounds like he's still upset about that. Wait, then how did Edgar end up in Sumeru?
Master was convicted as an accomplice, so he only had to serve a few years. He decided to move to Sumeru so that he could put those events behind him. Still, Master was depressed for a long time after that. He stopped making new perfumes and focused on introducing students to the craft instead. That's how I met him. My parents had to relocate to Sumeru for work when I was a child, so I had the chance to study under him for a little while. But we can talk about that some other time. I want to hear more about this researcher, Vijava.
Vijava.
Like us, Vijava was also staring down an investigation from the Marechaussee Phantom. But before the Phantom showed up at her door, she set all the flower beds on fire, along with much of the mora we managed to earn. All the Auguste flowers, everything we worked to create, was reduced to nothing but a pile of ash.
But destroying all that evidence, wouldn't that make things worse for her?
It didn't matter at that point, because she died in the fire as well.
What?
Uh-huh. So this is probably part of the story that's public then.
Sounds like you did an investigation of your own. Why even ask us if you knew all of this already?
Kirya's name still hasn't come up.
The name wasn't mentioned in any of the files I reviewed either. But you two seem quite familiar with him.
Gonna say anything?
Kirya was Vijava's younger brother.
Aha!
He was just a clueless kid back then. Somewhere in his teens, I think. He helped his sister with her work sometimes, but that was pretty much it. He didn't have any idea what we were doing. Vijava kept him close most of the time. The three of us were probably the only ones who even knew she had a brother. After our operation was compromised, he disappeared. There were no signs of him until recently, when people started saying the Auguste flower had reappeared in Sumeru.
Maybe he had some seeds pocketed. Who knows?
So, you think Kirya took something with him back then? Something that allowed him to reproduce the Auguste flower?
Vijava doted on the kid like you wouldn't believe. She even told us to give her cut to her brother if anything happened to her. If she left something behind before she died, believe me, Kirya's the one that has it.
And judging by the liquid in that bottle, the Auguste flower wasn't the only thing he reproduced. He managed to replicate the perfume itself.
So the liquid Edgar was forced to ingest really was Auguste. Wait, does that mean Auguste is poison?
Poison? No, no. Of course not. No perfume is meant to be ingested. Even small amounts can be dangerous, let alone ingesting a whole bottle at once.
I actually did have a perfume once. Not a perfume, a cologne. Close enough. I had a cologne that was actually safe to drink because it only had 2 ingredients in it. It's made from onions and water. And if you're curious, I think you can Google the brand, the name of it. It's called English Leather. And let me tell you this much. Boy, does it not smell like English leather. It smells like onion water. Because that's what it is. I don't even think they use ambergris in it. It had 2 ingredients on the label.
If Auguste could be considered a poison, we wouldn't have even sold half a bottle back then.
This is my
Edgar
favorite
fell
brand of cologne that
unconscious
I
because
use.
Kirya forced him to drink perfume.
It's called Canoe.
It just happened to be Auguste.
Eau de toilette splash is what it says on the bottle. Sylvain seems nervous all of a sudden. Why did Kirya attack Edgar?
He probably thought we had something to do with his sister's death. But to tell you the truth, I have no idea why she did all that.
I'm starting to think that she didn't set the fire, is what I'm starting to think.
We're not looking for Kirya because
She
we
didn't
have it
start
out for
the
him.
fire.
We just wanted to see how
It
he
was
doing.
always burning.
And
Okay.
if possible, work together to bring back Auguste. We only went to prison for a bit of fraud and market manipulation. It had nothing to do with the product itself. As long as we keep things honest this time around, bringing the product back to market would almost be like honoring his sister's memory.
Profiting off his sister's memory would be more accurate.
So that's why you never mentioned Kirya during your interrogation?
They were like they were a kid.
Yes, exactly. We were just looking out for the kid.
Anyway, that's all we know. If you're looking for information on what's in Auguste, or what to do if you ingest it, there are only 2 people to ask. Edgar or Kirya himself.
Well, at least we're able to say for certain that the substance Edgar ingested was in fact Auguste. That gives us a direction for further testing. Well then, I'd say that was a very enlightening discussion.
But
Well, glad to hear it. Lucian, let's head back to the room and rest a bit. With everything that's happened, there are things that need reconsidering.
Yes, of course.
they're still hiding something.
Huh, you think so too? That does seem to be the case. Pity we don't have more evidence.
They totally killed her.
But based on Sylvain's tone of voice just now, I suspect further questioning will only result in more made-up answers.
The way you exposed them like that, just based on a hunch, that was genius!
It wasn't really a hunch. She kind of already knew. You're really just a perfumer who looks after people in your spare time. She's close with Chevrus if we're going off of the trailer we watched.
Oh, right! Earlier you said you were only sort of a doctor, and that your patients were unusual.
Oh yes, that's because most of the patients I encounter are already dead.
Ah! M.E. Medical examiner. Coroner.
So you're a forensic doctor?
Interesting. Not the kind of role I expected.
Close. I'm actually a forensic cleaner.
Oh, that's even
Once
creepier.
the forensic team and the Marechaussee Phantom are done collecting evidence from the scene, I'm in charge of clearing away the final traces my patients leave on the world.
Gross! Fun fact, this is a career path that my family thought I would be great for. I'm squeamish, by the way.
In fact, with just a small alteration to the formula, the same tincture used as the base of perfume can also be made into a cleaning agent.
Note to self, don't drink bleach.
Basically, there are two sides to forensics. Those who collect evidence to expose the truth, and those who clean up the smells, bloodstains, and other substances left behind at the scene. I've learned a lot in my line of work, and I've witnessed a lot of death. But this time, we may still save the patient.
Unless he just drank bleach.
Actually, Traveler, could I trouble you to report
Again,
back to
why are we not
Floral
having
and
him
the
vomit
officers
this
at
up?
Port Ormos? We should update them on the situation.
Will do.
I'll stay here and continue to look after Master. Now that we have a sample of Auguste, I'm hoping further analysis won't be too difficult.
I still think making him vomit sounds like a good idea.
Master looks a lot older than when I last saw him. I just hope he can hold on.
Alright, to Tanari. Man, we've already been going for an hour?
Whoa, why the rush? Did something happen?
Sanjay ate perfume. We need help.
What? Edgar was attacked? He's the most famous perfumer in the region. Someone who's helped countless people around Port Ormos. How could this happen?
Ghosts of the past.
Sheriff, have you received any reports of a suspicious individual fleeing through the bazaar?
No, but we've got eyes all over the area. I'm sure someone's seen Kirya. I'll start gathering my forces. We won't let him get away.
What about you, Tainari? Do you have a plan?
I'm sure the sheriff can handle things over at the scene, and I doubt Emilie needs my help looking after Mr. Edgar.
But she said she's not a real doctor.
Then she was far too modest. She may not be a doctor by trade, but she has a deeper understanding of human anatomy and pharmacology than most scholars from the Amorta Darshan.
Fair.
Not to mention the fact that Mr. Edgar's condition is related to perfume. Emilie is certainly in the best position to help him.
Sure, but you might know more local remedies, or what the best thing to do in a situation of ingesting of toxic substances might be.
As for me, I'll head to the academia and see what I can learn about Vijava and Kirya.
Okay, at least you're gonna help in some way.
Oh, that's right. Vijava was supposed to be a scholar from Sumeru. Do you recognize the name?
How old is Tanari again?
From Emilie's letter, certainly, but that was the first time I'd heard of it. The academia produces a lot of scholars, and there are plenty of graduates who choose to pursue a career outside their darshan. I didn't have time to look into it earlier, but now it seems like Vijava's past could be critical to getting to the bottom of what happened to Mr. Edgar. I have friends in Sumeru City that can help me investigate.
Yeah,
With
like
any
Sino.
luck, we'll have news to share by tomorrow.
Okay, tell Sino I said hi.
I'll leave you and Emilie to watch over things here in Port Ormos.
Wait until the next day at 7 o'clock.
Well, it's been a day. Wonder if Tainari's discovered anything. But things weren't looking good with Emilie's master yesterday. We should check on things at the hotel first.
Why did we wait a day before going back to Emilie is a better question. Why didn't we go and spend the night with her, you know, just to make sure that her master lives through being poisoned? You know, simple stuff like that. He died, didn't he?
Emilie!
How's Edgar?
No longer in critical condition, thankfully. He's still very weak, but with a bit more rest, he should regain consciousness soon.
I hope so.
My chemical analysis of Auguste also went smoothly, although it certainly raised some questions.
Questions like?
I was able to identify the components that give the substance its fragrance, but I also noticed an abnormal trace of elemental energy in the sample.
Elemental energy?
Oh, now I'm the one that's going to be sneezing. Would that have an effect on the body?
Hard to say. It was such a minute amount, proportionally speaking, like mixing a single drop of perfume into the ocean. I had to use one of the newest tests developed in recent years to even detect the traces present in the sample. Unless you were abnormally sensitive to elemental energy, I doubt it would have any effect, even if you use the product every day for 10 years.
Or, you know, you drank the whole bottle at once.
As for whether Master's condition was caused by the elemental energy present in the sample or some other component of the perfume, it's still too early to say.
Oh, that reminds Paimon. Did Tainari come and find you? Maybe we could ask him to take a look.
I received a message from him last night, but I haven't heard anything since. The message said he was looking into some information at the academia.
Oh, Paimon thought he might have stopped by to see you first.
And while we're solving this case, poor Sanjay is gonna eat a cactus and die.
Excuse me? Is Miss Emilie here?
Kale! I love Kale!
Oh, perfect! Familiar faces! Traveler, Paimon, you're here too!
I never expect Kale to show up, but I'm always happy to see her. She's definitely a fan favorite.
Kale.
Standard Kale has appeared.
Tainari's apprentice.
Demand you all read the
mentioned you
manga.
many times. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
It's become a bit of a trope. Kale's on screen. Go read the manga, everybody. If you haven't read it yet, go do it. It's 12 chapters. You can afford to kill an hour and 40 minutes to read 130 pages.
And please, no need for formalities. Emilie is just fine.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you too, Miss, Emilie. Did Tainari send you here, Kale? Yep. Master and the others went through decades worth of records last night, and still haven't had a chance to rest. I'm fast on my feet, so it only made sense for me to come and give you an update. Anyway, based on what they've reviewed so far, they believe there's no indication that a researcher by the name of Vijava ever passed through the academia.
Could it have been an alias?
Master considered that possibility as well, but the name wasn't the only dead end. Master tried to track down people with a similar research direction or background, but also couldn't find a match.
Interesting.
How is that possible?
Could they have been a dropout? Maybe her identity as an Sumeru was a ruse all along.
It's starting to seem very likely. If we want to figure out her true identity, I'm afraid another conversation with those two merchants might be our only...
Hey!
Oh god, they're dead too now.
Lucian!
That voice, it's...
It's Sylvain! Wait, you don't think Kirya came back, do you?
One down, two to go.
That seems impossible. If someone came in or out of the hotel just now, we would have seen them.
Let's go inside and check. Well, maybe they have an invisibility potion. Who knows? This is a world where magic exists, so I kind of have to make a lot of assumptions.
It's locked?
I'll try to break it open. The door gives way with a bang and you enter the room.
There's no one here.
Lucian! Lucian!
That's Sylvain's voice! Hurry, let's check next door!
Lucian's been brainwashed. Mind controlled. Cutscene. Come on.
Lucian. Lucian. Come on.
Oh, not the big guy.
up.
He seemed nice. Is he gonna be okay? Is he dead? Please don't tell me he's dead.
Emilie. Emilie. My brother. He's gonna be okay, right? He's just unconscious. Like what happened to Edgar.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sylvain, but we were too late this time.
He seems so nice.
No, that's not possible.
Traveler, Kale, Mr. Sylvain has gone through a huge shock. He needs some space to calm down. Could one of you take him next door? It's not good for him to look at his brother's body like this.
Of course. Leave it to me.
I'll notify the sheriff.
Thank you both.
There's incense burning over there. Is that you?
Mr. Sylvain, let's get you up. Here, take my hand. Nice and slow.
I'm just going to hang on. Take a screen cap of this for reasons. Nobody needs to worry about that. No reason at all.
We'll take things from here. Just focus on getting some rest. Here, this way.
All right.
Poor guy. He's like a shell of his former self. He may have made some bad decisions in life, but right now, Paimon can't help but feel sorry for him.
Until it gets revealed later that he actually did burn the Vijana person alive.
Good person or bad, the death of a loved one is equally painful. All the moments he shared with his brother, every hardship and triumph they endured together, are now memories he has to carry alone.
Maybe that's what Kiara wanted.
If Kirya really was behind this, then what exactly did he do to Lucian?
Lucian can no longer speak, but the traces left behind by his death most certainly can.
Time to investigate. Continuing the detective theme of Fontaine, which only makes me more upset that a forensic investigator was not someone featured in the main storyline of Fontaine.
Traveler, I've got things covered here at the scene. I'll leave you to contact the sheriff.
Some time passes, Sheriff Sham comes to the scene.
Who would have thought? Yesterday's case is still up in the air, and now this happens. Miss Emilie, I heard you're an experienced forensic doctor. Have you been able to discover anything?
Oh, I'm not actually a forensic doctor. I just happen to have some relevant knowledge. I did take a look, though. Judging by the temperature and rigidity of the body,
you're not a forensic doctor?
it
Then what are
appears
you?
the time of death was sometime last night. I'd have to do a more thorough investigation to find out more.
Then, would you mind helping us investigate? Before he left, Tainari said we could trust your judgment if something like this were to happen.
Of course, I appreciate your trust. Many of the traces left behind at the scene will fade with time, so the sooner we investigate, the better.
We'll help too. We don't know much about dead
Again, are we going to
bodies,
address
but
the incense
you
in the
can leave
room?
the other clues to us.
Pupils are dilated, skin is flushed. No overt external injuries or signs of a struggle. Pupils are dilated.
Okay, the space inside the cabinet is divided in various compartments. It doesn't look like a person could hide in there. Says you. There it is, incense. The incense is slowly rising to the air. It seems familiar somehow. This door leads to the hallway. The lock is intact. There's no signs of damage. This door was probably locked last night.
And the windows are shut tight too. Seems like the only way to get in would have been through Sylvain's room.
This door leads to Sylvain's room. I can hear faint voices coming from the other side.
Why?
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Sylvain still needs more time to calm down. We should finish investigating Lucien's room first. Corners are filled with flowers, different nations. The fragrance is incredibly strong. Luggage. This bag is stuffed with clothes from and other daily necessities. It's quite heavy.
Well, looks like we've investigated as much as we can. Let's go report back to Emilie and Sham.
So, did you find anything?
There are no signs of forced entry. The only way in would have been through Sylvain's room.
Paimon can show you. Here, it'd be something like this.
Oh no! Is it time for Detective Paimon glasses? Oh, never mind.
But entering through the room next door without alerting Sylvain... Wait, you don't think Sylvain could have been the one who...
No, his reaction to the loss of his brother seemed genuine, and he doesn't have a motive.
Then what could have happened last night? I know Sylvain is still in shock, but he's our only available witness. We have to take his statement.
A locked room mystery begins.
I
Truly
agree.
dramatic plot.
Also, I've made some new discoveries, so we might as well head next door and go through everything together.
Alright. Examine the body. Body has been cold for some time already. There are no signs of struggle. No further clues have been found yet. Alright. He looks much calmer.
Mr. Sylvain, I need you to tell me everything you and your brother did since yesterday afternoon. Did you see or hear anything strange?
After Kirya attacked Edgar, my brother and I were incredibly careful. We returned to our rooms and decided to lock all the doors leading to the hallway. The only door we kept unlocked was the one connecting our rooms. That way, if we heard any commotion coming from the other room, we could help each other. But I didn't hear any sort of commotion last night. Not a single noise. I woke up this morning, opened the door, and Lucien was...
So, no movement from the room next door. No forced entry via Sylvain's room. No signs of a struggle at the scene. And no external injury on Lucien's body. What kind of cause of death are we dealing with here?
Probably poison. Maybe the incense that is filling up the room slowly?
I did notice a few things about the body. Lucien's pupils were dilated, and his skin was flushed. Very similar to Master's symptoms after the attack yesterday. There weren't any traces of liquid in his mouth or nose, so it's unlikely he was forced to ingest anything. The more plausible explanation is that he inhaled a substance without knowing it, and I'd say that substance was likely Auguste.
Auguste? No, that's not possible. Inhaling Auguste won't kill you. And anyway, it would have been for just one night.
So you're saying prolonged exposure is dangerous?
No, that's not what I meant. Emilie, you ran your tests, didn't you? Go on, tell everyone whether you found any poison.
No, I didn't find any common toxins.
See? Auguste is harmless. The market response proved that years ago.
That may be true for most people, but not for everyone.
Edgar's up and about. Holy shit.
Master!
Edgar? You're up
What
and
if you have a
about
pre-existing condition?
Thanks to Emilie, I'm out of the woods for now. Sylvain, no matter how hard you may try to hide it, the truth will always come to light.
Edgar!
Even if we could keep it a secret for another 10 or 20 years, do you think Kirya would just let us be? No. He would never give up. Not if he's doing all of this for Yelena.
Yelena?
That's Vijava's real name.
Vijava Yelena.
Yelena wasn't a scholar from Sumeru. She was an exiled Fatus from Snezhnaya.
Interesting.
A Fatus?
An exiled Fatus. Let's not be racist.
The Fatui. Well, that means the elemental energy present in Auguste was...
Ah, so you've already detected it. Well, Sylvain, looks like there's truly no reason to hide things now.
So, what's the elemental energy they put in the perfume?
Oh,
The Auguste flower was created with the mutative and distorting power of a delusion.
Interesting.
A delusion?
The Fatui, delusions... I never would have thought Auguste was hiding this many secrets.
So they curated a perfume using elemental energy from a delusion. Does that mean a vision could theoretically do the same?
Born of a delusion, Auguste contained distorted elemental energy. A prolonged exposure over many years could have a harmful effect on the body.
that's enough, Edgar. I'll take it from here. At first, Yelena wanted to keep refining the perfume and the flower, but no one knew how long the perfume mania was going to last back then. It didn't have any effect on ordinary people anyway. Every day we postponed going to market was another day of lost earning potential.
So you decided poisoning people was worth the risk?
It's perfectly safe. It's prolonged exposure that's bad. It's like smoking. Smoking is perfectly safe, air quotes, if you, like, do it once and not frequently.
Listen, it's not like it was good for business. But all that talk about Auguste being harmful over time, Yelena was just speculating. The impact was practically negligible. Unless you were particularly sensitive to elemental energy or had an entire bottle shoved down your throat like Edgar. You could use the product for decades and be completely fine.
It may be true there are no records of Auguste poisoning in Fontaine.
Considering how well the product sold, you think that this would have been discovered by now. This would be like saying cigarettes were sold on the market for 20 years and no one found out that there were any bad side effects.
But even if no one was acutely poisoned, willfully bringing a product to market despite explicit knowledge of its harmful effects is still a serious crime.
No, you just got to do the really, really fast speed thing. Side effects may include and then you're done. That's it. I think this is perfectly reasonably legal. You should dispose that it may be harmful. But I still think it's a perfectly viable market product. The fact that it came from a delusion is kind of interesting. I didn't think that delusions were around 20 years ago, though. I wonder how that affects the lore. Because I could have sworn that the delusion was created by the Fatui in the last 16 years.
That explains why you were so intent on keeping Yelena and Kirya's involvement a secret all this time, despite readily confessing to all your financial crimes. The Fatui, delusions, Auguste. If the Marechaussee Phantom discovered the connection between the three, there would have been enough evidence to send you to the Fortress of Meripede for life.
I doubt that. I still think considering it's only long-term and, drinking a bottle of it that causes it to be harmful.
If I'd known coming to Sumeru would put a target on my back, I would have been more than happy to stay there. At least that way, Lucian would still be alive. All these years without any sign of Kirya, and he pops up out of nowhere the minute my brother and I get out of prison? It couldn't be any clearer who the kid's after. Auguste was harmless before. The fact that it's killing people all of a sudden must be his doing as well.
So there's bad blood between you.
What about Yelena's death? Was that a cover-up too? A way to destroy evidence?
I'm still suspicious that they may be lying and they may have killed her.
I'll admit, we thought about it at one point. We took care to disguise the products circulating on the market, and no one was questioning Yelena's fake identity. But if the Mara Chaussee Phantom decided to look into the flower beds, it would have been the end. Yelena's ties to the Fatui, the role of the delusion, everything would have been exposed. Before we could even put our plan in motion, Yelena beat us to it. She burned all her flower beds and threw herself into the fire as well.
Did she, though?
But if her goal was to destroy evidence, there would have been no reason to do that to herself. Yeah, she could have just burned the flower beds and fled with her brother.
I thought about it for a long time, but it wasn't until just now that I finally understood her reasoning. Everything she did, it was for her brother, Kirya. One of the reasons they defected from the Fatui was the deterioration of Yelena's body due to her excessive use of a delusion. She didn't want her brother to follow in her footsteps after her death. After arriving in Fontaine, Yelena continued using the delusion to cultivate the Auguste flower, weakening her body even further.
This is Tepe all over again.
When she couldn't even walk.
So she couldn't flee with her brother because she was afraid of holding him back.
If her true identity was exposed, she and her brother would face pressure from both Snezhnaya and Fontaine. The Auguste flower and Yelena's own corroded body both bore the mark of a delusion. There would have been no way to avoid suspicion. So, in the end, she burnt it all to ash, including herself. With all the evidence erased, Kirya was free to take the Mora and run.
So you lied about the money even being burned up, too.
So the wealth you earned from Auguste, it wasn't destroyed in the fire. Yelena gave it to her brother?
Most likely. Before Yelena died, she said if anything happened to her, she was going to leave everything to her brother. We just didn't realize she meant our cut as well. That's why Lucian and I were searching for Kirya, to take back our Mora and the Auguste flower. We just didn't realize Kirya was baiting us the whole time. It was all a trap.
But why is Kirya out for revenge anyway? Doesn't he know about Yelena's decision to sacrifice herself?
He probably doesn't.
I don't think he knew his sister was nearing death. Yelena always wore heavy makeup around him to conceal her deteriorating appearance. She kept herself busy with work to keep out of sight. That way her brother wouldn't notice how she could barely walk.
Then all we'll need to do is tell Kirya what really happened, and then he'll give up on his revenge.
I don't know, Paimon. People aren't going to just give up on revenge like that.
I'm not so sure.
Kale, you want to get some revenge on Dottore? You two actually didn't get to interact in the Sumeru Archon quest, and that's kind of sad.
Even if he knew the truth, he'd still find someone to blame. He might think Yelena was forced into using a delusion to cultivate Auguste, or something like that.
Maybe he'll take it out on Snezhnaya for exiling him and his sister in the first place. Who knows?
It's hard to pull yourself out of that kind of hatred. Especially when you've been living in that headspace for so many years.
Kale is the perfect person to be delivering this message.
Very true. Even if Yelena's
Read the
death
manga.
was her own choice, I wouldn't call myself innocent either.
Edgar, what are you talking about?
Think about it, Sylvain. If we hadn't been in such a hurry to capitalize on the perfume mania all those years ago, do you think Yelena would have elected to take those risks? If we hadn't been so blinded by greed, so insistent on increasing the scale of the flower cultivation, do you think Yelena's health would have deteriorated as fast as it did? If we hadn't invited the Marechaussee Phantom to our doorstep by breaking the law at every turn, Yelena could have survived.
She knew her limits. She knew her days were numbered. Maybe it was for her brother, but she was in it for the Mora just as much as us. We were just trying to earn a bit of Mora. And what, we deserve to die for that? Target me for being the mastermind, sure. But what about Lucien? He was just following my orders. Lucien's crime, was it really so extreme that he had to pay for it with his life?
He does seem like a dumb idiot. I was willing to give him a lot of the benefit of the doubt. The only suspicion I had is that you guys actually killed her, but now this kind of puts a lot more light on the story. I still feel bad for Lucien.
The only person that can answer that question is a judge.
Cool, I'll get Nouvelette on speed dial.
Fine. I've said my piece anyway. Drag me back to Fontaine to stand trial. I don't care.
I think you've already served your time, to be honest.
3 people from Fontaine, 1 from Snezhnaya, and a crime committed in Port Ormos. What a headache.
What's gonna happen?
Well, we can only wait until the Academia sends someone to deal with it. I'm guessing we'll have to contact Fontaine as well. In any case, we won't really know any... With the exhibition,
Till
we don't
tomorrow.
even have space in Port Ormos to detain anyone. Such a headache.
So, Edgar, why were you hiding so much? What was the whole shtick with the hotel? Why were you hiding so much and not letting people stay in the hotel?
The hotel could suffice. You could station a few officers to keep an eye on Sylvain and myself. Although with Sylvain's mental state and my physical one, I don't think you need to worry about a jailbreak.
What crime are you guys guilty of, though, at this point? As far as I'm concerned, you've already served time. And at this point, all you're really guilty of is concealing the fact that Vijana was actually someone from Snezhnaya. The product is... I guess they released a product that and lied about how safe it was, but it was still relatively safe. To me, it seems like if cigarettes can be allowed to be sold legally, this thing should have been allowed to be sold legally, too.
Mr. Edgar, are you saying...
If Sylvain is to stand trial, then I deserve the same fate. A crime is a crime, accomplice or not. I'd just like to take care of a few things before I go. Say goodbye to my plants and all that. As for Sylvain, I'm sure he also has some goodbyes of his own. Would you be willing to grant that request, Sheriff?
By the way, that incense that's filling up the room, we still haven't addressed that or clarified that that's probably the poison. This hotel is just going to go up in flames or be full of the poison. We're all going to die.
Well, all right. I'll talk to the Academia. No matter who you were in Fontaine or what crimes you committed, the man we grew to know in Sumeru proved himself to be a good person. Your request is granted.
You have my thanks, Sheriff.
But if we wait until tomorrow, doesn't that mean something could still happen tonight?
Happen tonight? Oh, you mean the possibility that Kirya might try to finish what he started?
Yes.
Yeah, all we know is that he uses Auguste to poison people, but we still have no idea how to catch him in the act. If he targets Sylvain or Edgar again, we might not be able to stop him.
That may be true. But what if we can take advantage of his desperation?
If he's replicating Auguste, he's using a delusion to do it.
If we take advantage of this situation and lure him in on purpose, we might finally have the chance to talk to him.
Master, no. That's too dangerous.
So, that's your plan. If Kirya learns we're being taken away tomorrow, his last chance to enact his revenge would be tonight. In other words, you want to use us as bait to capture him.
Capture? Not necessarily. I just want to talk. What? Are you afraid of him?
Afraid? This is my only chance to make him pay for what he did. I'm spending the rest of my life in prison anyway.
I
can't
don't
just
think
sit
a
back
life
and let him
sentence is...
ride off into the sunset with our fortune. There's no
I think,
way I'm letting him get away with it.
I feel like
Not
the
after
penalty
what he
for
did to Lucian.
releasing a potentially dangerous product, not an inherently dangerous product. Something that kills you if you use it for decades. Again, let's say that again. Decades. The fact that it killed... if anything, the bottle should have had a warning label on it, at worst. And maybe a huge fine for this guy. I don't think life in prison for releasing something that is this minutely dangerous should have been the sentence.
As for the danger, everyone else just needs to make preparations in advance to protect us.
I'll admit, it could work. We just need to spread the word that Edgar and Sylvain are leaving tomorrow. Then I'll station some of my men around the hotel. If we have your assistance as well, our chance of success would be even higher.
I still have some reservations. But if you insist on carrying out this plan, I won't deny you my help.
Now stand guard.
I'll also keep watch.
Thank you, Kale. Thanks for being here.
Although
You're a good kid.
I think Sylvain and myself should remain alone in our respective rooms. If Kirya noticed another person in the room, he might decide to turn back. And besides, it's possible he's already transformed Auguste into a potent toxic gas.
You mean if he doesn't see a way to get his hands on the two of you, he might get so desperate that he'll just start using Auguste on everybody?
If that were to happen, everyone's standing guard. Even the innocent citizens in Port Ormos would all be in danger.
I'll be honest, if I were Kirya in this situation and I wanted revenge, this is my last chance, while they're all trapped in a hotel for security, I would try to find a way to lock them in and burn down the hotel. That would have been my plan. Just saying.
That's why everyone else needs to keep to the shadows.
You're still recovering. You need to rest.
This old pack of bones doesn't bounce back like it used to. I suppose I'll just have to leave the rest to you.
All right, we can figure out a plan to keep watch later. Right now, I say we split up, start spreading that information before it's too late.
All right. News about Auguste as well as Edgar and Sylvain's departure. Trace amounts of elemental energy is what's making this stuff toxic. Trace amounts. I wonder what the parts per million that would be.
Have you heard? Mr. Edgar's been detained. He's being taken away tomorrow.
What? He's the one who helped craft all the fragrances for our shop.
He taught my child how to make perfume. How could this happen?
He hasn't been convicted yet. Let's just wait and see what the court has to say.
Hey, I recognize that, VA. You were in the Simulanka event.
Oh, everyone on the street is talking about the rumors. No matter where Kirya is hiding, he must have heard them by now. Let's head back to the hotel and take a break. We can see how the other preparations are going while we're at it.
They haven't discovered the incense in the fucking pot. Someone's gonna die tonight. Return to the area near the inn. Okay. So we're just gonna hang out outside the inn and just, like, stay watch. Oh, wait. I was promised we'd go camping. We didn't actually get to go camping.
Emilie, Sheriff Xian wants to talk to you and the Traveler about our plans for the Night Watch.
I misheard that as Chef Xiam right now for a second.
Thank you, Kale. But first, here. I prepared a kind of herbal tea that helps calm the spirit. Why don't you have some?
Oh, that's very kind of you, but I'm okay.
Oh, it's not good to be so tense, especially when we've got a long night ahead of us. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I couldn't help but notice that something seems to be on your mind.
Was it that obvious?
No, not really. I didn't notice.
You seem very preoccupied with Kirya's revenge. If there's anything you want to talk about, I'm happy to listen.
Oh,
Read the manga, everybody. Read the manga.
Hey, Emilie, Kale. Oh, are we interrupting something? No, not at all. This will be easier to talk through with you here anyway. I've just been thinking. If Kirya has the capacity to commit murder while remaining completely undetected, why didn't he target Sylvain along with Lucien last night? There was just a single door separating them. If his intention was to target both brothers, then there was barely anything standing in his way. Don't you think? When I accompanied Sylvain to his room after Lucien died, and saw how distraught he was, I suddenly realized, maybe Kirya did that on purpose. Maybe he wanted Sylvain to experience the pain of losing a loved one before he completed his ultimate revenge.
Yeah.
So did he attack Edgar as a warning then? To scare Sylvain and Lucien?
Based on what we've heard about Kirya, that may very well be the case.
Losing his sister all those years ago. What has been going through his head? What has he been forced to endure?
Being an orphan child in a foreign nation doesn't sound good.
Whenever I get to thinking like that, I just can't help but wonder. If I were in his place, would I be able to let go of that hatred?
Probably not. I know I wouldn't.
I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't think like that. Not after everything he's done. But I just can't help it.
There's nothing wrong with the way you're feeling. Empathy is a part of human nature. In all my years of cleaning up crime scenes, I've witnessed countless families mourn their loved ones. Their cries of devastation and anger still echo through my mind, even now.
Something personal you want to share with the class, Emilie?
Some of them even try to stop me, begging me not to erase the last remnants of their loved ones. But getting swept up in those emotions will corrupt your judgment. Surround yourself with fragrance for too long, and your sense of smell will become dull. Allow yourself to be consumed by your emotions, and you lose the ability to think rationally.
Why are we framing Kale out of this image?
So while you hold on to that sense of empathy, you also need to ask yourself, do Sylvain and Lucien really deserve to die?
No.
How much did they truly know about the Fatui and the delusion? Did they force Yelena to make those decisions?
Yeah, that is fair. Like I said, I mentioned several times in this video that it's very entirely possible she didn't kill herself and that they actually murdered her. We don't know all the details. And I don't know if Kirya knows all the details either.
Answering those questions requires a lot of time and evidence, while a single act of vengeance can put those answers forever out of our reach. I've witnessed a lot of deaths in Fontaine. When someone dies, a certain amount of information can be inferred from the traces left behind at the scene. But generally speaking, death will just leave most questions unanswered, and the whole picture ever incomplete.
Once you're consumed by hatred, it will become next to impossible to think about things that way. For someone like Kirya, I'm sure right and wrong lost all meaning a long time ago.
this too is another meaning of justice.
You're right. The fact that we can approach these questions from this perspective isn't because we're more rational than them. It's because we're fortunate enough not to have suffered that kind of loss. But that also makes us perfectly positioned to stand on the outside and try to pull them back from the brink before it's too late. I understand Kirya's decision, but I still want to stop him. Master, Sylvain, and Kirya. They all deserve to survive.
So did Lucian.
Huh. The fortunate and the unfortunate.
They're letting him just stand out there, huh?
Emilie, Traveler. Huh? Edgar, you're here too?
Oh, it's you two. Didn't you head back to your room to rest, Edgar? Is it really okay for you to be out and about like this?
A little exercise never hurt anyone.
I have scars that beg to differ.
Besides, I don't have much time left in Sumeru. So I'd like to take care of my plants while I still can.
We still never figured out why you were hoarding the fucking hotel space.
We could do that for you, Master.
No need. I've grown attached to these flowers, and this is my last chance to say goodbye. Come tomorrow. I'll be happy to entrust their care to you. I would imagine Sheriff Sham is here for a more important reason.
This is some good acting, just gonna say.
The Night Watch. You mentioned earlier that we still need to confirm our plans.
That's right. I've stationed some of my men around the surrounding area, but we still don't have anyone standing guard next to Sylvain's room.
You mean Lucian's room?
Exactly. After some discussion, we concluded that Sylvain has the highest risk of being attacked next. You're the most skilled fighter here, Traveler. And Emilie's expertise is sure to come in handy in a pinch. That's why I want you two stationed next to Sylvain's room. So, are you up for it?
No, now we're gonna be trapped in the room with the poisonous gas.
Sounds perfectly reasonable.
I can't believe they haven't figured that out yet. It's so obvious.
Traveler.
God, I'm surrounded by idiots.
Shouldn't you be standing guard in the room next door? I would hate for Kirya to notice you here, an abandoned ship.
He's already been here. The incense, it's been planted. Fuck, we're gonna lose. God, they're all morons.
Huh. Not a peep. Has Kirya given up on his revenge?
Just like that?
Guess we'll have to keep at it.
The night deepens as time passes.
Still nothing unusual. Paimon took a peek into the room next door and Sylvain's already sleeping.
Shame hasn't issued a warning either.
Perhaps Kirya's true motive was simply forcing Sylvain to confess his crimes.
No, I think Sylvain's dead. I think we should check his pulse.
No, that can't be right. If all he wanted was for Sylvain to be convicted for his true crimes, he could have tipped off the Marechaussee Phantom years ago.
And he already killed Lucian. There's no reason to stop there.
We're missing.
The fucking
extremely important
incense!
Maybe we just need to calm down a little. How about some tea? That herbal blend from earlier was pretty tasty.
I can't believe we moved this plan fucking forward without confirming Lucian's cause of death. There's nothing here that we could use to make tea.
You're right. Maybe we can look for a different distraction then, like looking at the flowers. Oh, there's a glaze lily here. Paimon didn't notice it earlier.
Because they don't bloom during the day. They only bloom at night.
flowers, glaze lilies. Incense. Oh no! Sylvain's room! Quick!
Oh my god.
Wait, what?
Emilie rushes to the door. A strange floral fragrance saturates the room. Sylvain lies unmoving on the bed, already fully unconscious.
Hey, did you hear? Someone was attacked again last night.
It was the older of the Merchant brothers, right?
Yeah, I think his name was Sylvain. Poor guy was murdered in cold blood.
Yep, he's dead. They're both dead.
First it was Mr. Edgar, then that merchant named Lucian, and now this.
Listen up, everyone. This is an active crime scene. Please, no loitering.
Oh, I hate this. I hate that if I was there, I could have stopped this.
It's been 3 days and they haven't even caught a glimpse of the guy. What is going on?
Do you think it could be the work of an evil spirit?
Or there is no Kirya, and it's actually Edgar killing them all.
I mean, how do you get away with something like that with so many people watching?
Keep it moving, everyone. No loitering.
So I think we're gonna get a big reveal that there is no Kirya, and that Edgar actually is killing everyone, including himself, and he's staged drinking the own bottle. And he's gonna take everyone out. He arranged their rooms. It makes sense. He has the motive. He has the ability to do it.
I suppose I'm next.
You don't know that. Kirya already attacked you once, and you survived. Perhaps he doesn't consider your crime to be worthy of death.
You were the only reason I managed to survive, Emilie. I never did thank you for that, did I?
Did you? I don't know. I don't remember.
Even if I wasn't there, Tainari was also in the vicinity. He would have been able to help.
Is that so? I suppose I'm a very fortunate person then. I have exceptional students, caring friends, and the respect of my peers. If it is indeed my time to go, then I'll die without regrets.
I'm suspicious of everyone. You're all guilty until proven innocent.
But Kirya has nothing. Yelena is gone. Now, his enemies are too. It really makes you wonder if there's even a reason to keep on living.
If you really want an answer, I suppose you'll have to ask Kirya himself, once we finally catch him.
Well, I hope it all goes well. Emilie, there's something else I'd like to ask of you. With everything that's happened, holding the exhibition is off the table now.
I kind of completely forgot that the flower exhibition was happening, not gonna lie.
But so many flowers were transported here for the show. Some of them thousands of miles away from their homeland. I can't let them wither away with no one to care for them. Whether Kirya gets to me first, or I'm sent back to Fontaine to stand trial, I won't be around to look after them. I know it's a lot to ask, but could I entrust them to your care?
Of course, Master.
Really? Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Now I truly have nothing to worry about.
He's gonna die in his sleep tonight, isn't he?
Sheriff Sham still has some questions for me, so I've gotta go.
Go ahead. Best not to keep him waiting. He can be quite impatient.
I'm sorry, Master.
He's gonna die. There's a bottle. It was Edgar all along. This is a murder-suicide.
Wow, another all-nighter. Paimon sure hopes Emily's plan will go well. Oh, but Kale still looks quite worried. Let's go talk to her. Emily still isn't back. I hope she didn't run into any trouble.
She's extremely meticulous. I'm sure she's prepared to handle anything that might come her way.
Yeah, that's true.
Traveler, I had my men start spreading the information you requested. The crowd is gone now too, but I have to admit, I'm not really sure what's going on.
Oh, we spread that information. Did he actually live?
After listening to Emily's plan, I started getting the materials together and arranging personnel. I barely had a second to spare last night. To be honest, I'm still not sure how the crime was committed that night.
It's pretty simple, actually.
The key clue was right in front of us the entire time.
I feel like you've been waiting to say that for a while.
Let's go. We'll show you where the culprit hid Auguste.
It's in the incense pot. It's in the incense pot! The incense slowly rising into the air. It seems familiar somehow. Emily checked last night. Turns out it's Spirit Boreal.
Wasn't this incense originally in Lucien's room? It must have been moved here before nightfall yesterday. Wasn't this incense originally...
And also, the flower was like a combination, so it's probably in multiple things. The flowers. The blooming glaze lilies. Corners are filled with flowers of different nations. Fragrance is incredibly strong. Glaze lily is swaying gently, the petals closed. There's a ring of moisture around the rim of petals that feels sticky to the touch.
Glaze lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before. It's a flower from Liyue, right?
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emily, you're back!
How'd it go?
Exactly as expected.
A flower that only blooms at night. Ah, like the Neelitpala lotus.
Exactly. Although, the Neelitpala lotus wouldn't be a good substitute in this scenario. When it's closed, the gaps between the petals are too large. That's why Kirya chose the glaze lily as his mechanism. He would start by preparing an Auguste sample.
Oh, we get to use this mechanic again.
If applied to the outside, you would still be able to smell Auguste, even in the daytime. There's a sticky substance on the edge of the flower petals. It's one I recognize. If you stick the petals together with slime condensate, then, in the daytime, the glaze lily would act almost like a hidden container.
Interesting.
That's right! He applied a diluted form of slime condensate to the petals to stick them together, and enclosed a sample of Auguste in the center. That way, the Auguste would remain trapped inside during the daytime, unable to seep between the petals and evaporate into the air. This also allowed the culprit to plant the poison well in advance, while his targets remained oblivious. However, the diluted slime condensate wouldn't be viscous enough to prevent the petals of the glaze lily from opening at night. So by nightfall, the flower would bloom, thereby forcing the target to inhale the Auguste trapped inside.
But you would need an amplifier of some kind in order to make sure that it becomes lethal.
And Kirya could execute his revenge without having to step foot inside the room during the night.
By the next morning, the sample of Auguste would have nearly fully evaporated. The glaze lily would have already closed its petals, and any lingering odor would be concealed by the fragrance of the other flowers in the room.
And his mission would be accomplished.
Wait a second. You're telling me this version of Auguste is so toxic, inhaling the minute amount trapped inside a flower is enough to kill a grown man?
Something that takes decades to kill a person?
And how did Edgar even survive ingesting a whole bottle of the stuff?
That's because Auguste is just as dangerous now as it was all those years ago. The level of toxicity has never changed. only a small subset of people are truly at risk.
People that are sensitive to elemental energy.
Ah, you mean people who are sensitive to elemental energy. So it's just some sort of happy coincidence that Sylvain and Lucien are allergic to the stuff?
I wouldn't call that a happy coincidence, but it sucks.
That can't be right. They were involved in the operation all those years ago. If the stuff gave them a bad reaction, they would have known from the very start.
I wouldn't use the word allergic necessarily. It's more like they're susceptible to its effects. But that distinction isn't important right now. You can think of it this way. It's not that Sylvain and Lucien are innately sensitive to elemental energy, but that Kirya found a way to ensure that they would be.
The boreal spirit thingy in the incense.
The incense I smelled earlier seemed familiar. Thinking back on it, I'm almost certain it was the scent of spirit borneal. All kinds of essential oils commonly found in alchemical products can temporarily increase elemental affinity. But it would be difficult to force someone to use them without knowing it. In Sumeru, scholars use spirit borneal to aid meditation and stimulate their connection to the Dendro Archon.
Alchemically produced essential oils, the primordial seawater that caused unrest in Fontaine not too long ago. All of those are substances that can heighten your sensitivity to elemental energy.
And Kirya chose spirit borneal.
That stuff gave us a lot of trouble when we first came to Sumeru.
Hey, it's this thing again.
Ah, yes. I definitely remember that.
In Sumeru, it's not uncommon to use incense indoors, so its presence wouldn't arouse suspicion. The flowers in the room could also serve to mask the scent.
Flowers were pretty important to this plan, huh? The glazed lily is native to Liyue. It would be completely unnatural to have one here in Sumeru if it weren't for the exhibition. What a coincidence.
Actually, it's not a coincidence at all.
The exhibition, the hotel, it was all miraculously designed trap.
No wonder he was willing to pay a small fortune to rent out the hotel.
Edgar is the
He
mastermind.
probably used the more Yelena left him, don't you think? That money was supposed to set him free. But in the end, it was just a tool for his revenge.
There's a saying among forensic doctors in Fontaine. Every step you take leaves a mark. But up until this point, we haven't been able to detect any trace of Kirya's activities. That's not because he was coming and going undetected, or because he's some kind of evil spirit, but because he's been disguised as someone else this entire time.
Disguised? So Edgar isn't Edgar and Edgar is Kirya? That feels cheap.
Creating such an intricate mechanism out of a glaze lily. Setting up the spirit borneal in advance. And arranging for Sylvain and Lucien to stay at the hotel. It all points to one person. The expert in charge of the entire exhibition.
And there was no sign of someone fleeing, so it was Edgar the whole time. I just missed the detail that Edgar probably is Kirya.
The Mora spent to rent out the hotel. The way the Auguste flower was cultivated. The method used to disguise his appearance. It all points to one person. The boy who inherited Yelena's legacy. Her younger brother.
The real murderer.
Kirya and Edgar are one and the same.
Then where's the real Edgar then?
Creating such an... It all points to...
But Kirya was only in his teens back then. He wouldn't even be 40 years old by now. Edgar's lived here for so many years. Even if he changed his appearance, going that long without giving anything away, it would be impossible.
There was a switch at some point.
Bad news, Sheriff. Mr. Edgar was attacked.
What?
A dark shadow-like figure just ran out of his room. It was giving off a really ominous aura. But before we could even react, the figure up and disappeared like some sort of ghost or something. By the time we got a look inside the room, Mr. Edgar was gone. Do you think Kirya kidnapped him?
I need you to think very carefully about this. Are you certain that figure wasn't Edgar himself?
I mean, Mr. Edgar was so frail. I don't see how he could have moved that fast.
It would seem Master decided to tap into an ill-advised source of power.
The primordial seawater potion that changes how you look? How would anyone even know about that?
What? But that's so dangerous with the condition he's in. It's...
suicide.
But why? Why would he do that? He's already accomplished his revenge.
No. If his aim was to target everyone who had a hand in Yelena's death...
If he left Sylvain alive yesterday, not out of a desire to see him suffer, but to confirm the truth about why Yelena chose to die...
Then there's still one target left.
Himself.
The shadow-like figure ran in the direction of the elevator, and my partner immediately chased after them.
We should hurry before they're forced to confront each other.
Where in the world did he go? Let's ask the merchants nearby.
Okay.
A ghost! It's a ghost!
It's all right. Please, calm down and take a deep breath. Can you tell us what you saw?
I saw a black shadow. It ran right past me.
There's more people cowering in that direction.
How could something like that happen in broad daylight?
I don't know. Stay away from the spices. Follow the scared people.
This is terrifying.
No, don't come any closer! No, don't come any closer!
He's gonna have like the Fatui agent outfit on, right?
If we go any further, we'll be out of Port Ormos. There'll be hardly any witnesses.
It's all right. I can detect a faint whiff of the scent from here. I would say he passed by this location not too long ago. It's this way. Please, follow me.
Oh, is this gonna be the standard we get to play as Emilie section?
The scent is getting stronger. This must be the place.
Oh. Secret Garden of Auguste. Recommended Dendropyro.
Oh! O's!
How did you get here?
Are you alright? Were you attacked?
No, I'm all right. I was just chasing after that figure, and then all of a sudden, I didn't feel so hot.
Let me take a look.
The air definitely feels heavy. It smells nice, but for some reason, it's hard to breathe. This feeling, I've encountered it before.
Everything looks all right. It was probably just the stress of the chase, combined with the impact of the environment. A bit of rest would do you some good.
I can't rest. Mr. Edgar is still in there. He taught my sister how to make perfume. He's a good man. I can't just abandon him to die by Kirya's hand.
O's, you need to calm down and listen to me. Edgar is the one we're after. He and Kirya are the same person.
Probably. Edgar might have been dead for years.
But how is that possible? I thought you said Kirya was in his 30s. Mr. Edgar is 70-something. Changing your appearance to look decades older, that doesn't seem possible.
That's precisely why he had to resort to extraordinary measures to age himself.
The delusion.
Kirya used a delusion to bring back the Auguste flower, corroding his body in the process, just like his older sister.
No. He couldn't have. Mr. Edgar has been in Port Ormos for years. If someone started impersonating him all of a sudden, we would have noticed.
And what if the impersonation started before he ever set foot in Sumeru? I've yet to confirm it, but I suspect Kirya killed the real Edgar in Fontaine not long after his release from prison. While Edgar was incarcerated, Kirya started making preparations to replace him, including forcefully aging his body, studying perfumery, and planning the real Edgar's demise. The new Edgar then decided to relocate to Sumeru, seemingly out of an innocuous desire to let go of the past. He even left perfume making in favor of mentoring students, but these decisions were all for a specific purpose: the need to distance himself from anyone who might see through the facade. And Sumeru fit the bill to a T, with no one around to question his identity. All he had to do was grow a beard, don a pair of glasses, make a few minor alterations to his appearance, and everyone would believe he was exactly who he claimed: Edgar, a perfumer from Fontaine. As the years went by, he removed his disguise little by little and continued to refine his skills. It would have been a gradual process, one that ensured no one around him would notice anything unusual.
That explains why Sylvain said he barely recognized Edgar back at the hotel. He aged himself decades beyond his years just so he could accomplish his revenge. Is that even worth it?
Probably not.
I need to find Mr. Edgar. He's not that kind of person. He can't be.
What you really need is to get out of here and rest.
No,
Or put a mask on.
I can keep going.
Wait. This environment is likely being influenced by the delusion. Any discomfort, no matter how slight, should not be treated lightly. I know how to relieve your symptoms, Mr. Ooze. Please come with me and rest. I'm sure Kirya... No, Edgar wouldn't want any more innocent people implicated in all this.
Kale's right. The Traveler and I will take things from here. From our brief exposure to Auguste, it would seem the substance has little effect on us. This leads me to believe those blessed with a vision or capable of wielding elemental power are more resistant to the effects of abnormal elemental energy. In other words, this environment doesn't pose as much of a risk to us.
True.
Actually, now that I think about it, this stronghold likely has multiple points of entry. If the target were to escape from a different point of entry, that might allow him to evade capture. I hate to trouble you, but we need people to survey the perimeter.
Come on, just do it.
Thanks. Hear that? We're heading out. There's work to be done. Ooze, head back to Port Ormos and start gathering reinforcements.
Got it.
Traveler, Emilie, Paimon, please be careful.
All right.
For someone whose only purpose in life is revenge, there's no telling what they'll do when there's no reason to move forward.
They're gonna kill themselves. That's probably what they were gonna do.
Don't worry. This isn't the end. Not for us or for Kirya. We're not going to let Auguste kill anyone else. It's time for the mythos to fade into obscurity.
Okay. What do you even do? Normal attack, yada yada, plunging attack. Fragrance extraction, level 11. Create a Lumidu's case that deals AoE dendro damage. Fires puffs of Purdu at the nearby opponents at intervals, dealing dendro damage. When nearby opponent is affected by burning, they will give off scents at intervals. And one scent can be created this way every 2 seconds. The Lumidu's case collects nearby scents. The Lumidu's case will level up after gathering 2 of them, after which it will fire 1 extra puff of Purdu when firing. The attack with damage. One Lumidu's case created Emilie herself can exist at a time. Case starts at level 1, goes up to level 2. The case does not collect any scents for 8 seconds. While in the field, it will go back to level 1. And then Arc Numa. Guiding fragrances collected within the case, Emilie converts them into dendro energy, creating a level 3 Lumideus case and stowing the existing cases away. While it exists, the level 3 Lumideus case will not gather nearby scents. It will continuously cause scented dew to descend. Tax, yada yada. Duration ends when Lumideus case will be recreated. Yada yada. While the aromatic exploration is active, elemental skill frames. What does your talent do? Each time it collects 2 scents, the level 2 Lumideus case will consume scents and release a clear dew cologne that deals AoE dendro damage, 600% of Emilie's attack. Oof. Damage is considered elemental skill damage. Increased damage to burning opponents based on her attack for every 1,000 damage, 15%, maximum damage. So she's burning. Bright at Dawn Overture. Attack is increased by 15%. After equipping, character triggers a burning reaction on opponent or deals dendro damage. Burning opponents. The damage dealt increases by 18%. This effect lasts for 8 seconds. Max 2 stacks. When 2 stacks are reached, 12 energy. Let's test that out.
Monsters. Perhaps they were attracted here by the increased level of elemental energy. I've never seen these seeds before. They must also have been created with the power of a delusion. It seems to be avoiding us, and there's no other way forward. Perhaps we could try luring it to the edge of the cliff.
Interesting. We're herding seeds now. What's next? Herding cats? Her kit's interesting. I have to admit.
Whoa, look at all the Auguste flowers! There are so many of them. I can't believe a single person did all this. Must have taken a lot of time.
I fear that statement is truer than you know, Paimon. Using a delusion comes at a cost. Not just time, but the time you have left to live.
But why would Kirya need this many Auguste flowers? He only needed a few bottles of Auguste to carry out his plan, right?
Perhaps hatred wasn't the only emotion fueling his obsession with Auguste.
What do you mean?
Not long ago, he told me he didn't want all the flowers transported to Sumeru to wither away in a foreign land. But Kirya betrayed Snezhnaya, abandoned Fontaine, and lived his entire life in Sumeru under the guise of someone else. For someone with nowhere to call home, perhaps dying among a bed of Auguste flowers just like his sister is the best homecoming he could ask for.
Alright. That's a cabbage. Why are we going over that way? There's a house over here.
This'll brighten up the place. Reconstitute.
With sword comes shadow.
Transfixed.
Fresh and floral.
It's kind of wacky to use this kit. I'm not really entirely sure the ideal for it. we go.
The scent of flowers is getting stronger. We're almost at the end. The scent of flowers is getting stronger.
Oh shit, we're catching up.
Did they catch up that fast? No. My strength is just waning. But it doesn't matter. This is far enough.
This is a garden of Auguste flowers. But it's not mine. It's the one that was set on fire all those years ago in Fontaine. Yelena? Yelena! You tried to hide it from me, but I always understood.
This is sad. I'm not gonna have a lot of commentary for this.
The reason why you continued to use the delusion, the reason why you set your garden on fire, it was all because of me. I shouldn't have listened to you that day. I shouldn't have taken the Mora and ran. But by the time I realized something wasn't right, there was nothing left. The flowers were gone. And so were you. I know I'm almost 20 years too late. I should have come looking for you earlier. I should have died with you that day. Yelena? Yelena!
She's not gonna say anything.
No. Don't leave me. Please.
Man, every Fatous we meet in the story has like a depressing life story, and they tend to be really nice people that usually die horrifically.
Yelena!
Only this one wasn't a Sneznovich, it seems. I wonder if all the people in the chasm are doing okay.
Emilie? I'm alive. No, that's not possible. I saw her. Yelena. We were together.
That was an illusion, likely brought about by the residual toxin in your body coupled with the pollen in the air, neither of which are fatal.
No. The amount of Auguste I drank, it should have been enough.
Sorry to say this, but that was a fake.
A fake? But how?
We started making the preparations last night with one goal in mind: to create a perfect accord.
Couldn't we have done this a day before?
The basis
of perfume making, the product in its most primitive form.
Ooh, cutscene.
Ambergris mixed with cedar wood, rounded out with a base note of agar wood.
This is
the scent
of leather.
Exactly. We're unable to extract essential oils from leather, but by combining other raw materials, we can recreate its essence. That is the purpose of an accord.
Does that mean you can recreate any scent in the whole world?
I'm afraid not. Certain fragrances in this world are simply one of a kind. That quality is what draws people in and fuels their obsessions.
If I wear Auguste to the ball, I'll also be one of a kind.
Our competitor already got their hands on it.
It doesn't matter how much it costs. I have to buy something better.
This fragrance will be one of a kind, no more. Myths can be deconstructed. Miracles can be recreated.
so
All it
she made
takes
a
is
replica.
skill, experience, limitless exploration, and a little patience. The only thing left is determining where the real Auguste is hidden. Pretending to be attacked means he's not free to move around. Auguste must be hidden within reach.
Paimon took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers.
The curator commissioned a flower pot from Kasharawar capable of retaining heat and moisture.
Perfumes are as beautiful as flowers, and equally as delicate. When stored, you must take care to control the temperature and keep them away from direct sunlight. Did you get all that, Emilie?
So it was hidden in a pot. We kind of knew that already.
I got it.
Did you hear? Someone was attacked again last night.
So, Sylvain is dead. Is that right?
Yes, Master.
So, you switched the bottles of Auguste, and then lied to me about Sylvain's death.
Convincing you that your revenge had been completed was the easiest way to get you to let down your guard.
So is Sylvain dead? Are we gonna just...
Impossible. Even if you found a way to switch out the bottles, there's no way you could have made an accord. If Auguste was so easy to replicate, Yelena wouldn't have.
Ooh, that's actually kind of bad if you were able to do it, if you look at it that way.
It was a combination of rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilias. Those ingredients would have conflicted with each other if you tried to combine them in the past. But recently, we found a way for them to work together.
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilias.
Auguste was created over 10 years ago. All this time, people never stopped analyzing it, never stopped trying to recreate it.
20 years is a long time.
Perfumery techniques are advancing day by day. We've found better ways to extract essential oils, separate oils and fats. We even discovered new ways to combine fragrances together. The mythos surrounding Auguste may have been untouchable almost 20 years ago, but now it's time for it to become a thing of the past.
The past?
You've been working as a perfumer for all these years. You should have always known that it is possible to make an accord, even if only in theory. But the meaning you assigned to Auguste became so inflated, you allowed yourself to get lost in it, just like the perfume mania that captivated the public all those years ago.
This is a weird split-screen angle. I wish they used it more often.
You believed in its divinity and grandeur. You believed it was entirely one of a kind.
And in the process, you forgot that it was a bottle of perfume, nothing more.
Your obsession with Auguste is also what allowed us to predict how you intended your plan to end, and to make preparations in advance.
We just didn't expect it to happen so fast.
Or that you would activate the delusion.
Well, you hit the nail on the head now, didn't you? So, Sylvain isn't dead. Since you've been preparing your accord since last night, I assume you've also figured out my method, then. That means the news of Sylvain's death. The crowd gathered outside the hotel this morning. It was all an act you put on with the sheriff?
Yes. If we hadn't, you might have resorted to the delusion out of desperation, or continued to use your Spirit Borneal and Auguste combination to wreak havoc.
I would have just tried to burn him alive in the hotel, to be honest. It would have been a lot less effort.
Who knows? Maybe I would have just offed myself then and there.
I know if you had things your way, you would carry the truth of Edgar's demise and the secrets of this garden to the grave, but I'm sorry, Master. I don't want to see any more death.
Me neither.
Sylvain only inhaled a small amount of poison. He's being detained as we speak. all the crimes he concealed back then will be exposed in a court of law for everyone to see.
Which, again,
And
was
all
just
his
market
secrets will be
manipulation
revealed.
and hiding
The same goes for
the
you
fact
as
that
well.
his product is lethal to people with very specific health conditions.
Is that so? Well, I suppose I'll be spending the rest of my days in a prison cell then.
If we're gonna do that, the people who invented cigarettes should honestly be serving life sentences. If we're gonna judge people on something equivalent.
Whoa, he accepted that kind of fast.
I don't feel the need to justify my actions, nor do I intend to repent for them. I did what I set out to do. I may have lost in the end, but it was my choice every step of the way. And if I could do it all over again... But there's no going back, is there?
Careful, everyone. This fire is dangerous. I'll lead the way.
Oh, Kale's on the ray.
Stick close. Hurry up. Can't let Edgar die.
Looks like I'm almost
Is Shame voiced by Talon Warburton? I think I just noticed that.
I do have one final question, Emilie.
Of course, Master.
The combination you used to make your accord. How did you figure it out?
The scent of Auguste is complex and varied, yet the main ingredient consists of a single variety of flower. So, as I was analyzing the sample yesterday, I got to thinking, what if the scent of the Auguste flower was already imbued with that complexity during its cultivation?
You're saying Yelena designed Auguste to have the scent of multiple flowers?
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, Cecilias. The perfumers of the past knew that if you combine their essential oils directly, they would just cancel each other out. It was a conundrum they could never solve. But if you cultivate a new flower species that intrinsically carries the unique features of those three scents, you can bypass that issue entirely. It goes without saying that for that time, this idea was a stroke of genius.
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilias. Those really do seem like flowers you would choose, Yelena.
What do you mean not long after that? They're rushing over now. This is a sad story. God, and we've been going for 2.5 hours. And thus the turmoil caused by Auguste comes to an end. A few weeks later, you receive a letter from Emilie, inviting you to catch up in Fontaine. Can you just teleport me to Fontaine right now, please? Oh, thank God. Don't make me have to open the map. Hotel de Board.
Did you know? Miss Emilie's releasing a new perfume. Right. I heard about that. I think it's called Yelena.
Oh.
Seems like everyone in Fontaine is talking about the new perfume you're releasing.
I was hoping to release it without such a fuss, but the news spread way faster than I expected. I just hope it won't become the source of some new myth, especially after all the work we did to demystify Auguste.
About this perfume, did you use the accord from back in Sumeru?
I did, although I made a few modifications to the formula to make the scent more pleasant and long-lasting. I actually brought a few samples with me today. I hope they're to your liking.
God, please don't tell me you're using that bottle.
Also, I was hoping you could try out the fragrance before I officially release it and tell me your thoughts.
Of course! A good sense of taste and sense of smell go hand in hand, you know? Just leave it to Paimon! Oh, it smells great!
I don't think that's the kind of feedback she had in mind, Paimon.
It's alright. All feedback is worth considering. Besides, when it comes to perfume, commenting on whether it smells good is the most straightforward assessment you can ask for. There doesn't always have to be a deeper meaning.
Speaking of deeper meanings, Kirya's final question.
Right! Do those flowers have some special meaning? Hearing their names seemed to have an effect on him.
If I had to guess, I'd say it probably has something to do with the language of flowers.
Damn, where's Linny when we need him?
A language of flowers? Oh, we've heard of that before. Paimon remembers hearing something like, the Cecilia represents the true feelings of the prodigal son?
I think we learned that during Lisa's character quest.
What each flower is said to represent varies by person and across different moments in history. The same is true for the flowers that make up the scent of Auguste. After returning to Fontaine, I did some research, and it turns out the meanings of those 3 flowers can be reassembled to form a single phrase. Forget the past and keep on living.
Oof.
Perhaps that's the legacy Yelena always intended, not the nobility and grandeur most people associate with Auguste.
Or maybe that's what she hoped for her brother.
You think Kirya knew about that?
I doubt it.
I paid him a visit before his trial and explained what I found, but he didn't seem to care. Who knows? Maybe she didn't mean anything by it at all. That was his response. Yelena is gone. We'll never know what she was thinking. We can look for meaning all we want, but it'll never be anything but conjecture. Even if that is what she was trying to say, I would never be able to forget her. Avenging her death? That was the meaning I chose for my life. Kirya cultivated his revenge like a flower. He was committed to making it bloom, even if in the end, it didn't bear the fruit he was hoping for.
I feel sorry for everyone involved in this. I feel sorry for Lucian, I feel sorry for Sylvain, even Kirya, and Edgar too, who we never got to meet.
In any case, he did want me to pass along his thanks.
And most of all for Yelena.
Thank you for saving
I have
my life.
a lot of sympathy for the
giving me the
Fatus.
chance to learn that Auguste could have carried a very different meaning. Love and hatred are a privilege of the living. When someone dies, their thoughts, feelings, and intentions die with them. In that sense, what Auguste truly represents in the language of flowers will forever remain a mystery. But even if it's only a conjecture, I would like to believe my own interpretation. The meaning we give to flowers, the symbolism we assign to our perfumes, they're constantly twisted and exploited in our imperfect world. And yet, at the very outset, they're born from the simplest and most beautiful desires we hold in our heart.
Floral debt, blood due. This was a depressing quest. I'm not really sure how I truly feel. Emilie was at least an interesting character, and I enjoyed her involvement. And thank you everybody who stopped by. This is a bonus stream. We don't normally stream on Sundays, but if you'd like to see streams in the future, best way to stay informed would be to join the Discord, links to which are on the About page here on Twitch. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can always go into the description. Look forward to seeing you all in the next stream. Probably going to be going back to Star Rail, because we still have a lot of events to burn through. That's all for now. Yelena. See you all. That's Gadget. Interesting. See you all next time. Bye-bye.